A couple of months ago, our friends at WeGoPay gave us a platform which you used to support this podcast Living Truthfully. And we thank you for those of you that have gone through this journey with us. Now, we're going to give you something back. Imagine the possibility of buying airtime and getting some of that cash back. That possibility is now true with WeGoPay Airtime, an exciting new product for all your airtime purchases. WeGoPay is giving you a platform to buy your airtime and get 2% cashback on every airtime purchase. What's better, you can also earn more when you refer people using your unique invite code. You'll earn 2% for every purchase made from your referrals. And that cash is available immediately on M-Pesa, and you can use it to buy airtime or to pay other bills. Use *483*30# to start earning passive income. You purchase your airtime using the pay bill 787055 and use the account number as your phone number. Now I'll do you a solid. Use my code LT001 to start you off. Go ahead, purchase some airtime and get some passive income. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever time it is, wherever you are. Welcome to Living Truthfully, episode 51. Yes, in the month of February, the month of Atasitasana, the month of men's conferences. That's exactly what it is, the month of men's conferences. I don't know what you're doing, I don't know where you are, but I'm so glad that you're listening to Living Truthfully. I'm so glad that you're here walking this journey of healing, this journey of male conversations by men that women are eavesdropping into, and walking this journey of 2020 with us. We've just come out of a really good series. We've been discussing the decade that was and the decade that we have ahead. We've been discussing decade thinking. Hey, and have guys shared their stories or what? In fact, Eddie's stories last week, but one, if you haven't listened to episode 49 and episode 50, you have to go and listen to Eddie Kimani's story. You have to go and listen to the story of just fighting through hard times and getting proper and real redemption. And I've told you guys here before, me, I'm a sucker for happy endings. Not the ones you're thinking about, the ones for the story ending well. You guys. Anyway. So, happy endings. What I mean is good endings to stories. In studio, I have a good, it's not an ending, but the guy is just holding laughter. So let me tell you guys a story. I was in a very good school. I was in a high school called Moi Forces Academy. It was not a high school, it was an academy.
Exactly.
And by the time I went into high school, I sort of knew I liked music, but I didn't really explore my musical side until I went to high school. And then I discovered a cappella. There was this group of guys in school who were, I think, 2 years ahead of me. And they used to sing gospel a cappella.
Come on.
Wow.
You guy.
Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom.
It was on the truth.
It was some jingle like that. It wasn't a jingle.
It's been a while.
But it was, what? But no, it was not even just the music. It was how the chicks used to respond to these guys that made it amazing. And I started singing, hoping the chicks will respond to me like that.
Your motto is my friend.
Yeah, I got new. With little success, some moderate success. I learned music, and I fell in love with a cappella because of these guys. But also, I met people with the driest jokes ever. These guys had the worst dad jokes. Like they are the originators of bad knock jokes and puns and ant jokes and things like that. And I sort of just formed an excellent relationship with these guys. They were much older than me. Now they're in different parts of the world, but the one person who's like consistently been in my life is a man I'm honored to introduce to you. He's a man who does a YouTube, he has a YouTube channel. It's called Papa Bear, and he discusses dad things. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the intelligent, very well-dressed man from an American, Amos.
Yeah.
Mwongera.
Yeah.
Or rap. We all call him Mongo, at least our friends.
My good close friends call me Mongo.
Yeah, and the other people call you?
Sir.
So, you see what I mean?
I have one for you.
Uh-huh.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Arch.
Arch who?
Bless you.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting. You guys, you shook at the vision.
Yeah,
I can see.
Like,
Still got it.
Okay, so what do you call an ant that is defiant? Oh, actually, there you go.
A defiant.
No, it's also called a true ant.
That's an ant that's honest.
No,
it's a true ant.
Like a true ant.
Oh, like someone who takes off.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
What do you call an ant? Ant jokes are like my best jokes.
Apparently.
So,
yeah, don't get me started, man. We can do this for hours.
we can do this for hours. Listen, guys, you must go and check out Papa Bear. Whether you're a father or as an aspiring father, or you are trying to define your relationship with your father, I think the conversations that happen on Papa Bear are important conversations. Whether you're a guy or a chick, please go and understand even what dad experience is like for from a male perspective, for the women who are listening.
Yep. Thanks.
You must check out Papa Bear. Maybe before I go into our topic, let me ask you, Monge.
Sure.
Why did you start Papa Bear?
Wow, it's a good question.
I'm full of them, by the way.
Very good, deep questions.
Yeah.
Huh? Okay. Yeah, not just the jokes, the ant jokes.
Yeah.
Okay. I was about to get started again.
That's good. It's okay. Feel free at any point to drop a joke.
I can.
An ant joke, yeah.
Okay. I'll make a point of that. So I started my fatherhood journey, it's almost 12 years now.
Okay.
Ago. And I remember when I started out, I had no idea what I was getting into. Wifey's pregnant. Of course, I know what that looks like. I know how that happened. But in terms of what happens after that,
sorry, help me.
No.
How did it happen?
This is it's a PG-rated family show. There are kids who listen to this show, so we want to be sure.
If you're under 18 and you're listening to this show, log off now. God, I'm seeing you. God is watching.
The Lord is watching.
Yeah.
No. So what happened is I had no idea what I was getting into. There was obviously a lot of preparation that went into it. My wife was very big on reading up on stuff and talking to people about it, and I felt like she was really prepared for this, and I wasn't. So, for example, we bought clothes for the baby. It's a baby girl, and I remember just laughing hysterically at how small the stuff was. It was ridiculous. I mean, it's like clothes for a doll. It was funny to me because I'd never seen a baby. I never interacted with a baby before. When baby came, we had to change diapers and stuff like that. I had no idea what a diaper, how it worked or what it looked like. So I was green. Let me put it that way, completely green. And I felt that I could have been better prepared for fatherhood. But there was very little resource available for me. There weren't people I could talk to. There wasn't really much stuff on the internet at the time. So I felt very unprepared. A lot of the literature that my wife asked me to read was geared towards the mother. So what to expect when you're expecting.
I read that book in the loo.
Yeah.
It was my loo read when we were expecting our first daughter.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
Yep. Yeah, it's deep stuff, yeah, but it's all geared towards the mother primarily,
yeah. True, yeah.
And so there's not much resource available, and it hasn't changed much since then. It's been 12 years, and it's the same. A lot of pregnancy preparation, a lot of parenting preparation is geared towards the mother, and I just felt that there's a gap there. There's something that we need to do. A lot of men are winging it in terms of their fatherhood because they don't really know what needs to happen, or they don't really have a model or someone to look up to, or someone who's gone ahead of you who can sort of show you the ropes. And just men by our very nature, we don't look for information around these things. We just tend to assume that you know what you're doing. So
osmosis works for us.
Yeah, for some people it does. Some membranes are anyway. So you get the feeling that there needs to be some sort of information availed to men to be able to do their job better, and that's the gap that I'm hoping to fill. Just because Papa Bear is really about exceptional fatherhood. Fatherhood is more than just changing diapers and playing with a child. There's a lot of facets to it. A lot of us have grown up with absent fathers or fathers who are not really doing their job engaged, for whatever reason, or engaged, or they're present but they're not really engaged. So there's all these things that we've grown up with, and we're passing this on to the next generation, which is unfortunate. I mean, we should do better because we should know better. There's more information out there, and that's what I'm trying to do. Just trying to foster.
But why a bear? Okay, so listen, bro. Have you ever seen a bear?
Not in the flesh, no.
Why couldn't it be Papa Lion? Things you've seen, Papa Elephant, even Papa Dog, something like
Papa Cat or Papa Mbuzi, Papa Goat.
Yeah, they get, why?
Beru.
Like, why Papa Bear?
That's a good question. So here's a funny story. When I was the first 3 years of my life, I didn't say a word.
Oh, really?
Yes. I didn't speak for the first 3 years. And I know you're about to say that I haven't stopped talking since.
Yeah.
Which is kind of true.
It's compensating.
I'm making up for those first 3 years.
Yeah.
But, I mean, literally, for the first 3 years, I didn't say a word.
Oh, wow.
And when I did speak, I spoke a sentence. My first words were a sentence.
Wow.
And it was the story of Goldilocks.
Oh.
Goldilocks, that story of once upon a time, there was Mama Bear, Papa Bear, blah, 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 and Goldilocks and all that. I said that first sentence as my first words.
Wow.
And so it kind of came from there, because my mom used to tell me that story. And then when this whole idea came up, I had toyed around with a few names. There was, I won't tell you the names because some of them are really silly, but I basically
was one of them Goldilocks.
Well, no, that didn't quite make the cut. But
okay.
yeah, there were some silly names.
I'm just looking for
broken chairs. None of that. With the woods, walking in the woods. No, none of that. But so yeah, I mean, Papa Bear. Just the concept of Papa Bear is the phrase itself is something that means something to me because of my background.
That's very cool.
But yeah, I mean, it's just really it's associated with a certain carefulness. The way people say mother hen. The equivalent of that for men is Papa Bear. You want someone who will take care of you, someone big, someone who will protect you. So there's a sort of like an analogy there. There's a likening to the way I believe men should be.
Yeah, I'm not complaining, bro.
Yeah.
Papa Bear is very comforting for me.
Okay.
And for my size.
Yeah.
I just feel like every time I see Papa Bear, I'm like, yeah.
That's me. That's you.
I'm huggable.
You're kind of cuddly,
cuddly,
just give big, whatever.
I'm grow.
Come here, you.
Which that conversation gives me maybe even a good background for what I want to discuss this month. And you're my first guest in the month of February. And
oh, nice, man.
I want to discuss friendships, just like good male friendships.
Okay.
And my first question is, as you're becoming a dad, man, you didn't have any male friends who had, even if they were younger dads, who could sort of help you figure this thing out? Or
my friends, and they're all awesome guys, we were in the same boat. In fact, I was ahead of most of them. So I'm like the guy now who needs to sort of pass on the information. So, I mean, you can ask them whether I'm a good friend to them. But, I mean, there was not much peer learning to have because we're all kind of floating through this whole thing. And, I mean, we've learned a lot from each other over the years. But at the time, we were all sort of in the same boat. We all don't know what to do.
I've known you to have, probably seen you through 3 different stages of life. Yeah? I've seen you in high school. I think I've seen you like start up career-wise, like at that point when you were getting married and just young career stage, and now where you're in the category called middle-aged men. Let me just help you.
I thought you were looking for what, established and accomplished, visionary. Giving back. I thought you were thinking for words like those. No?
Middle-aged.
No?
That's the one I was looking for. But those things will happen somewhere in your future. So I really do
Cheers,
hope
man.
that you get there.
Thanks for the vote of thanks, man. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
I mean, I believe in you, Mwongera, and I see it happening soon.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
10 years. But you will get there. You'll be established. You'll be visionary. Oh, well, you're visionary now. Actually, Papa Bear is visionary.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. And I've not known you to be in isolation.
Okay.
In those different stages.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, have you, maybe I'm wrong, maybe my observation is wrong.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've had good male friendships specifically in your life?
Yes. And as I speak, I'm thinking of a couple of people.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I think the thing about the friendships that I've had is that I know they're available. I know that there are people who I can count on, I can rely on.
Mm-hmm.
Whether I take the step to make myself or reach out for that help or that support is another issue altogether. I think in my experience, you know that your guys will be there for you, but you don't want to take advantage of it, or you don't want to feel like you're that guy who always needs help and stuff like that. So you kind of want to deal with stuff on your own, and you also have this realization that your guys are also going through similar stuff, right? So you don't want to feel like a burden to them, so to speak. So I'd say my friends have been available. They have they've always been there to support me and to be with me and stand with me. I've had friends who I've had for almost 40 years, guys who I've known for a long, long time, and we're still in touch. We're still friends. So there's been that availability. I just don't know that I've been willing to accept that help or to be vulnerable with them so that they can play the role.
That's a very interesting thing that you say. I don't know whether to follow that rabbit hole or go to the question I wanted to ask you. But let me ask you,
Follow it, man.
Why is it that the reference to good male friendships has gone straight to asking for help?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So and that's a question I'm asking. I'm asking why is it that when I asked whether you've had good male friendships, it went straight to asking for help. Yeah.
Wow, this is interesting. I've never really thought about that. I mean, I think that there's a sense in which friendship has been portrayed. And maybe I can speak for myself. I think friendship is portrayed as a solace, a place to go to, a place to run to. It's something that you go to when you need. It's not something that necessarily is there all the time. You think of a companion as being like, say, your wife or somebody who your significant other as being sort of like the person you're with, who's with you, walking with you. But your friends are a solace. They are people who you know they're around when you need them. And that sounds bad. It sounds like you abuse your friends. But I think that honestly, in my view, friendship for me as a man has always been seen as a place to run to. So when you're in trouble, you go to your friends. When you have a need, you go to your friends. When you're happy, when you have this thing that's happening, good thing in your life, you go celebrate with your friends. So they're walking with you, yes, but you have your own sort of lane, and you go to them when there's need, so to speak. I really thought about that.
As you describe it, does it sound like that setup is okay for you? As you're discussing it, as you're now describing it, how does that setup sound to you?
I don't know. It sounds, and maybe for a lack of the right choice of words, it sounds almost exploitative. Like your friends are only there for something. They're only worthwhile if they do something or they have some sort of value to give you. It might come across that way. I think the thing about it is that friends, there's a sense in which as men we want to deal with stuff on our own.
So sorry. In here we personalize it.
Oh, we don't talk about other guys.
We don't talk about other guys. Talk about ourselves. So,
okay.
Yeah. So I statements.
And now that you're talking about in here, I should just point out that this place is quite well appointed. You guys should see this studio. It's amazing. These guys are excellent on another level. Yeah.
Shout out to super producer Lee.
Yeah, man. Sasa. Yeah, there's a level of but anyway, so where was I going?
You're talking about maybe how you view the male friendships.
I see male friendship as a companion, because I personally deal with stuff on my own. My default setting is to be on my own, to do things myself. I've been described by people as being a lone ranger, and maybe it's just me, but I tend to just want to do things on my own since I was a child. So I see friends as people who are available, but I have my cocoon, my space, my bubble, which is mine. It's my space, and so I wouldn't expect a friend to just always be there, because I imagine my friend also has his own cocoon and his own bubble that he's dealing with. So he doesn't want me always in his space, like, let's hang, let's what, when there's time for us to hang out, when there's a need, when he has an issue he's dealing with, or if there's something that he needs my help with, then I'm happy to step into that bubble. But for the most part, you do your thing, I do my thing, sort of thing.
I have so many follow-up questions from this conversation.
This is sounding, it's kind of sounding like, separatist sort of.
No. It's what's interesting?
Yeah.
Is I think making male friendships is very awkward.
Yeah.
I think it's awkward. It's male friendships sort of have to have something else jumpstarting it. We rarely walk up to a guy and they say, I want to be your friend. And have you ever done that?
No.
Ever in your life?
If someone did that to me, I'd be so weirded out, by the way.
Yeah, it's so awkward. Huh?
Yeah.
So we sort of go through this often life experiences that we happen to be in the same place, same stage, like we were in high school together.
Yeah.
And so that same experience, the fact that we spent 2 years in high school together, then that sort of sets up the stage for the friendship.
For the bond, yes.
And then you later find you probably have a similar value system, you have similar, maybe other friends.
Yeah.
Maybe you end up in the same circles for other things. And so those things then become the basis
of your friendship.
Of your friendship.
Yeah. I think, sorry, just following up on that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about like our friendship, you and I, we've known each other for a very long time, and we've been there for each other through many experiences. But you wouldn't say that it's those ones of you're in my space or I'm in your space kind of thing. You know, when the opportunity comes, when baby's in hospital, when your baby's born, or you're going through something work-wise, there's some celebration you're going through, some big event that you have that's going well, I'll come in. I'll be there. When I'm having stuff, when there's something happening in my life that's good, you'll be there. But it's not a thing of we're always at the pamoja, we're together all the time. It's a different dynamic.
So I do have friends like that.
You do?
Yeah.
Male friends?
Yeah. I have friends who literally are just there. Just there. They're like your siblings.
Everywhere you go, everything you do, they're there.
Yeah, I have especially 2 friends, and I think I've grown that circle a bit.
Okay.
Maybe I should bring like a bunch of them here.
That would be wild.
It will be. I've had. I don't think I went, but one of them actually did come and say, what? Let's be friends. Let's be let's do this. Let's do this thing. I won't say his name because people respect him, but. I do think that, and what he did is that he helped us also form friendships for our children. Okay. And so our kids are now best friends.
That's cool. That's cool.
And so he was very deliberate about that.
Yeah. Are those do you have like a lot of friends who you have that kind of relationship with?
I have 2.
Okay.
I have 2 friends who I have that sort of just always there type of friendship, and probably my most valuable male friendships, to be honest. But many are, just like you say, there's some form of, separation, of sorts. And when I listen to it now as we speak, it doesn't sound right to me.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't, because I feel like friendships are just that, they're friendships, and friendships are relationships that need as much effort as any other relationship. Yeah. Like I should be able to holler at my boy and just have a conversation for no reason. How you checking on each other, and not necessarily because I need something from them or I want or they need something from me. And as I listen to this conversation we're having right now, for me, I'm starting to see the brokenness of our male friendship space, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because at what point would you gauge? And I'm asking you, Monge.
Yeah.
At what point do you decide you need help? Like, what's the threshold that you reach
of pain?
That you reach, and you say, I need to find male friendship help.
Yeah.
What's that threshold for you?
Let me tell you what typically happens for me and some of the friendships that I'm thinking about and that I know and I have. Often it happens the other way around. That your friend basically looks at you and says, dude, you're suffering, you're in pain.
Yeah.
I need to come in, I need to step in. I think I guess my threshold for pain is fairly high. At least that kind of pain. At least the kind of pain that would make me reach out and actually look for help from someone. I think that threshold is pretty high. If I felt that in some way my livelihood or my sense of masculinity is under threat of some nature, or if I feel challenged enough by a situation or by somebody, maybe I went to church and Pasi said something that really just set me off, then I'd feel, wow, okay, I need help. I need to sort this out, and I can't do it on my own. And I'd probably take some time before I figure out who to talk to. Some of those conversations for reaching out for help would be awkward, to be honest. I'd be like, I don't know how I'd rock up to a guy and just say, you know what, I need your help, I need this. That just doesn't come naturally to me, to say that I need help and you can help me do this. Because I feel like I'd have to follow that up with, I need help and this is what I want you to do for me. So you're in control, you need help, but you're basically directing the guy how he needs to help you. But that sense of vulnerability where, you honestly don't know what to do and you're just stuck, you're just lost. That's an awkward conversation to have, especially with another guy. But I think my threshold for pain would be pretty high. I'd have to be like really, I don't know, like completely out. Like, I don't know where to sleep tonight. I don't have any chums for. I'd be completely out of my element for me to reach out.
I actually know people who've ended up first sleeping, in a hotel or sleeping in a car
in the Mutiga,
or like maybe 2-3 days, sometimes even a week before I say, okay, let me call this guy. I know he has an extra bedroom in his house, and maybe he would take me in. Like we don't do that. And even when you're calling, you're almost calling like
asking for help is not a problem. It's asking for specific help where you know what help you need. So you're telling the guy, you have an extra room in your house. I want to go sleep. So I'm not calling you because I'm out of my luck. I'm calling you because you have an extra room. It's like I have a solution. You have a solution. I know what the solution is. I'm calling you to give me the solution that I know I want. It's different from, I'm stranded. You guy, man, I don't know what to do. I'm lost. That's different.
Would you admit that?
It'll be hard, man. It'll be tough. I think there are people I would be that vulnerable with.
How many in your circle? How many from the top of your head can you think about?
Maybe 3 or 4 people at most.
Okay.
And even then it would like be uko at the wire, where you're completely out. But to just call up a fellow guy and tell him, by the way, I don't know what to do. I'm lost. I need your help, man. I don't know what to do. That's a very difficult conversation to have.
Why is it difficult? I mean, chances are this guy probably understands. Chances are he's probably going through something similar. He knows who you are, so he knows you're not taking advantage of your friendship. Why is that hard?
Wow, we said we personalize things, huh? For me, it's important for me to be in control, to be able to have a handle on stuff. It's important for me because I'm often in a position where people need stuff from me. People look up to me for direction, help, guidance. I'm often that guy who people come to. So it's important for me to be in control. I need to have a handle on this issue. So for me to now admit to another guy that I actually have I don't know what this is, I don't know what's happening here, it's a reflection on me. It makes me feel like I am not man enough. It's like I don't have what it takes to handle my business. This is your thing. Why is this thing? Why is this thing? Why is that you? You should be able to deal with this issue. Deal with it, man. So when you're going to another guy and telling him you don't know what to do, it's an admission of weakness, of fault. It makes you feel like you don't know what you're doing, and that's a very vulnerable place to be.
Have you ever been in that position? Not necessarily one that you've talked about with your boys, but one where you felt, I really don't know what to do.
Yeah, I have. Even very recently. I don't want to go into details, but
they're welcome here. This is living truthfully. We say everything, but
we speak openly.
But within your comfort.
It's raw. It's a kind of a raw thing. It's still
dealing with it.
Yes. Yeah. But that whole being in that position, yes. To answer your question, yes, I have been in that position. Yeah.
Do you wish you had help? Did you get help? Did you reach out for help?
Honestly, no.
You didn't.
So it was more like an update. Though you tell people this is happening, but not help me. It's information. By the way, guys, and it's often because, well, for me in this particular situation, it was like, it's gonna come out anyway. People will see, people will know. So I might as well update you.
Get ahead of it.
Get ahead of the story, but not that this thing has happened and I need help. I don't know what to do, sort of thing. So no, the reaching out that I did was more just to update my boys. Just, this is what's happening, you guys.
Did you need help?
Yes. It was an, let me call it an economic issue. It was a work issue. That went sideways, and it was one of those things where things didn't quite work out and it went really badly, and you want to ask for help, but you don't know what to ask for. And to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't want to feel like a burden. I didn't want to feel like I'm this guy who can handle his business. I've grown up my whole life professionally. I'm one of those guys who straight out of campus had a job. But when I was in campus, I was working. So I've never had a gap. So now to come out and start now being this guy who needs help and all that stuff, it just didn't sit right with me. And I felt like by telling them, and asking for help would be putting myself in that position, which is, wow, I can't even fathom being in that position. But yeah, it was, guys know. So
welcome to the gap. Us guys here, we are the gap. We have lived the gap. Any entrepreneur will tell you, every year is a gap year.
You're standing in the gap.
We're standing in the gap.
Standing in the gap.
I'm sorry about that, man. And I hope that things work out, and and that they turn around or pan out, somehow. And the reason I went down that rabbit hole, and sorry, I feel like I put you on the spot.
You think?
No, but the reason I went down that rabbit hole is because that's such a typical male story.
Yeah.
And this is about threshold of pain. And this year I didn't lose them, but 2 people committed suicide that I knew.
Oh no.
And 2 of them both of them obviously had issues they were going through.
Yeah.
One that we had no clue whatsoever. And I don't know if we would have helped, And I'm not saying that every time you reach out for help, you'll get the help that you need and that you want. That's that's something to think about.
Then again.
But sometimes I found that for me, speaking out, which is how I started this podcast, by the way, but speaking out gives me perspective.
Okay.
And sometimes perspective is enough for me to see that this thing might not be as bad.
Okay.
As it looks like.
And are you speaking out looking for perspective, or is it just a cry for help?
Sometimes it's a cry for help. But now I think I'm looking for perspective. Now I've learned. With time I've learned. But before it would be just a cry for help. I'd be like, you guys, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I'm in funk.
Yeah.
And I've had a guy say, hey, that's bad. That's bad.
You get, man. Yeah, it's okay, man.
It's okay.
You'll be well.
But we chomoka from things like this, man. There is no help for you.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey,
he wants to commiserate with you, like, you know, big guy, man.
Yeah. But somehow you feel a little better.
Do you though?
Yeah, I do, by the way. Yeah. I think I speak for myself. But
okay.
Let me give you one that was just perspective.
And now a word from our sponsors.
As a dad, the greatest gift I can give my family is security around their health. Do you know how the first time you have a child and all of a sudden there are medical expenses that come up that you never knew existed? Well, Minet has a great cover that caters for your young family. This cover is comprehensive and has features such as inpatient limits of up to 10 million shillings. It will take care of premature births, any complications during, after birth, or for both mom and child. For people who don't like the delivery room like me, this is such a sigh of relief because you know at least the finances are taken care of. It even takes care of you when you accompany your child of up to 10 years to the hospital as a caregiver. And that's just the inpatient cover. Outpatient caters for dental, optical, gynecological, urologists and mental health services and is up to 2 to 3 times higher than other covers in the market. I highly recommend Minet Health, and it can be accessed online. They have made this purchasing process easier by creating a portal where any user can access their services directly from the website. To learn more about this cover, visit their Facebook page Minet Kenya or their website collaborationkenya.minet.com. Buy your family a secure health future with Minet. And now, back to our story. I've been managing some debt for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
Some of it is business debt from the business that I shut down.
Yeah.
And some of it is personal debt. And part of the personal debt has been money that I've borrowed because I was in a tough time and I've been unable to pay. And now I'm sort of managing that process and paying in bits, and sometimes not paying, because there's no income.
What do you do?
And in fact, I have a whole pain story for that one. But I was having a conversation with a friend, and I was just lamenting. Maybe at that point, I was just lamenting. I was not even looking for perspective. I was just lamenting about how managing debt is hard.
Yeah.
And unpredictable, because the bank debt is being handled by a collector who is now very nice and kind, and the relationship has turned over time. They started out quite rough, and sometimes some of the people that I owe become impatient, and they will say some pretty strong things to you, and I was just lamenting about that space, because at no point have I intended to be this in debt.
I mean, nobody wants to be that guy.
So so this guy was like, okay, so how much is your total debt? Like total. So I gave him a figure. I'm not going to say the figure here, but I gave him the figure.
So what happened to living? I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding. You don't have to say. No. You don't have to say. You don't have to say. I'm kidding.
It's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
Just
it doesn't matter. It
can be paid in a check, which means it's under an RTGS.
Yes.
So it's under $1 million.
Understood.
And the guy laughed so hard, and he was like, "That's what's distressing you this much?" Like, the amount of distress I had on my face was a lot.
Yeah.
The guy said, "Listen, you tell all the people you owe to now chase me for your debt. I will add it to mine because it will make no difference to mine whatsoever." The guy, he said his debt at the point, which was a business, mostly business debt, was close to the 100 million mark.
Wow.
It gave me such perspective. I felt so small with my very small problems. And I walked out of there feeling like I can conquer my. I was like, no, I'll keep my debt. Because you see someone's lifestyle, they look lavish and things, and you're like, hey, he's probably swimming in the black in that 100 million. It tells you, no, that's how much I'm in the red.
Wow.
And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
So, and I'm saying that to say that sometimes speaking for me has given me perspective.
Yeah.
And that perspective has probably changed how I look at the problem.
Yeah.
And so the problem stops being a mountain and maybe becomes Ngong Hills.
Like a bump.
Something I can, maybe not a bump, but something I can hike. It's still gonna take some energy.
Some effort, some doing.
But it's not gonna kill me like Mount Kenya would.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, so my challenge with talking about it is my sense of that conversation is towards some sort of resolution or some sort of ask. I'm not just going to vent and just speak about stuff, because even when people tell me stuff, my almost immediate reaction is, this is what you can do, 1 2 3 1 2 3, yeah. And maybe that makes me not a very good listener. Sometimes people want that, but the way I see it, I feel like telling people about my issues or my problems is inviting some sort of response. It's like I'm opening up the door. So what's the purpose of opening up this door if no one's going to walk through it, or if no one's going to help me with the situation? Then why even bother? Just speaking for speaking's sake is a foreign concept to me. I don't know if I just want to air out or vent or that kind of thing. And I don't know that my friends, for all their good intentions and all their support, and I know they'd probably want to do something about it, I don't know if I would be even comfortable with some of the help I might be subconsciously trying to get from them, So yeah, I mean, like now this situation I'm telling you about, the one that I'm going through, I mean, so I tell a guy about it. Cool, I might feel better having spoken about it. Maybe there's some perspective, but so what? Are you gonna help? Are you gonna do something about it? Are you gonna contribute in some way? So that's where I get stuck. That's where the conversations become tricky for me. I have these friends and I know they're there for me. I know they'll support me, but I feel like telling them about my issue is inviting them to respond in some way, and I don't know if I would be comfortable with whatever response they'd give.
Do you imagine that maybe one of your friends has experienced something similar, and maybe they have not the check that you need, the amount of money, but a formula for dealing with it? Would that be useful?
I actually know for a fact that one of the friends I'm talking about, and when he listens to this, he'll know who he is. You know who you are, man. He's gone through this before. Very similar situation, almost identical. And so, he's been there. He's been down that path. And I did talk to him about it eventually. It got to a point where I felt like I needed to. But that was not my immediate response. I didn't, like initially going through it, I'd reach out to friends, but it'd be more like a brainstorming session. It's like, okay, you're a lawyer, right? Or you're in this space, you're a HR guy, whatever. You tell me, what do you think? I'm thinking this. I'm thinking we can do 1 2 3. What do you think? What's been your experience, sort of thing? So it's more like strategy. Let's think about how we can work this thing out. Yeah, it's not, wow, this thing is happening and I'm lost. It was a very active conversation. It was, this is what I'm thinking we can do. So I'm bouncing ideas off the guy, sort of thing.
What did you feel? And this is just, I'm just experimenting here. But what did you feel if the guy said, okay, I understand how you feel?
Yeah.
Do you sometimes feel like you failed?
If he said that to me, well, I'd be like, okay, yeah, this situation kind of feels like a failure. It feels like this thing didn't work out. Maybe there's something I could have done differently. But I don't want to hear that right now. What I want to know is, what do you think? How can we tackle this?
I'm playing the role of your friend.
Okay. Role play.
But
will you be frank? I'll be Mwongera, you'll be frank.
I want to chase you out so quickly, so I'll be frank. But do you understand that?
Yeah.
Because just because you feel like a failure, you're not really one. Do you understand that sometimes even, and I don't know what choices you made, but do you understand that there's a role maybe of your choices and there's a role of circumstances that are beyond your expectation? Do you understand that?
Yeah, I think I do. Just subconsciously I do. But still, even knowing that, the reality is that there was some role. It's not an entire happenstance. It's not something that just happened. There was some level of control that I could have exercised in that situation that might have changed things. I don't know whether it would have worked or not. I don't know. So there's a sense in which I had a a role to play, which I either did and it didn't work out, or I didn't.
Okay.
So either way, there's some level of culpability on my part.
So I've been there.
Yeah.
And I think the hardest part for me is sometimes just giving myself grace.
Yeah.
And realizing that I possibly acted at my best with the circumstances and information that I had.
Yeah.
At the time when the role that you played, do you feel like you acted at your best at the time?
Yes.
You did.
I think I did. Yes.
You think you did?
Yeah.
Are you able to forgive yourself for what you did not know or what you did not?
Well, yeah. It's like a sort of like, like a facepalm sort of thing situation. Where you're like, man, damn, I should have thought about that, man. I should have done, so you feel bad that you didn't think about it at the time. And I've been really hard on myself the last couple of months. But I think I'm at a place now where I feel like, it's a lesson. It's something that I've learned and I can do differently next time, if there ever is a next time. Sort of like I'll never be in this position ever again sort of thing. But if I ever am, then this is how I'll play it out. So yeah, I feel like I've learned a lesson.
Okay. What's the lesson you think you've learned?
That there's a certain level of, there are people out there who are not nice and that not everybody has your best interest at heart. And you kind of have to be careful about who you allow to have influence over you. I've also learned that if somebody has power to do something to you, you have to assume that they're going to do it and prepare yourself accordingly.
Or mitigate in a sense.
Yes. That anybody who has the ability to do something will do it. Or you have to operate under the assumption that they will. And so you prepare yourself and say, look, if this happens, assume it's going to happen. What are you going to do about that? And if you're not comfortable with the consequence, or if you're willing to sort of wing it and see what happens, then just be aware that this, if it could happen, it will. So that's, maybe it makes me cynical, I don't know, but the point is that I feel better prepared. I feel like I have a better view on life, on reality than I did before. I think I had a very rose-colored perspective on life.
In fact, that was going to be my next question, is what have you learned about yourself through this process?
That's one of them. That I don't know if the word naive is appropriate, because I don't want to call myself names. People can call me names, but not me calling myself. But, I've always had this very positive view on people, on life, and said, everybody's nice, and people only do certain things if you give them the opportunity to and all. But I've realized that that's not always the case, and that there are people who will do you in just because they can. So just being aware of that. Also, I've learned that you kind of need to be prepared for every eventuality. That anything that can, Murphy's Law, anything that can go wrong will. So be prepared for that.
So what does that taught you about you?
About me?
Yeah.
Am I going? I'm
going. You're running away.
You didn't. This was not in the brief.
Script.
Yeah, you're off script, man.
What have you learned about you through that process?
I've learned that I don't have. I've had the wrong view, or not the wrong view, but my view on life and on people needs to be more comprehensive. Let me put it that way. That as a person, there's a certain way that I look at life and at people which needs to be broadened. I've always had a narrow view on things, on people. So I've learned that I need to broaden that. I don't know as much as I think that I do. I've also learned that I've always seen myself in a certain way. I've always seen myself as being a person of influence or of leadership, of authority. That's always been my sort of default. And I've learned that that's not necessarily always the case. That there are times when you have to be subject to somebody else. And that's a difficult lesson to learn. Learning that sometimes your role in life has to be subject to somebody else's will or somebody else's perspective, which you may not agree with, you may not like, and you don't really have the option of just walking away. You actually have to stay there and do what needs to be done. So I guess I'm seeing things differently from how I've always learned and always grown up seeing things.
You do a bit of training, don't you?
I do. Just did a training this morning, actually.
But you do know that people who can be led make good leaders.
Yes.
I'm sure you've even told that to someone.
And I say that to people all the time.
All the time.
And the truth is that's a head thing. That's something that I know.
Cerebral knowledge.
Yes. But going through an experience is it's a completely different thing. Because then it teaches you what you've been telling people. So yeah, I mean, that's a perfect example of something that you know at your head level, that this is something I know. I say it all the time. I've been told this before, but having an experience and going through something teaches you that it's actually true. What you heard,
what I heard.
So yeah, this is new to me.
I know. It's fantastic. I'm watching you squirm.
Are you done putting me on the spot, man? No. You guy. This studio is warm already. Is it just me? It's
That's
kind
one
of hot in here.
question. That's one last question.
Are you sure?
Yeah. So on this particular topic, on this lesson that you learned, how? So based on the possibly solutions that you need to apply, to the situation, the circumstance that whatever this event brought by, how do you apply what you've learned about yourself to the solutions that you need to find, or to the process of solutions?
So I mean, among other lessons that I've learned is I've learned that I can also be a difficult person to deal with. That I can be pretty demanding. I can sort of want my own way and not think about other people. I've always, my brand is around, the people and helping and all that. But I've realized that I can actually be a pretty stubborn, very difficult person to deal with. I've learned that I can be pretty impatient, that I am very impatient, that if I don't get what I want, I tend to sort of throw tantrums and get haywire and all that stuff. And what that has taught me is that I have a lot to learn. And I'm not there yet, and that as I go through life, being aware of that, I have to treat other people. I have to sort of step out of my body, for lack of a better word, and look at myself in any given situation. I have to be able to say, okay, look, I'm having a tiff, I'm having a fight, I'm in this issue. I have to be able to step out of the situation and say, look at what you're saying, look at what I'm saying. What is my position in this fight or this argument, and is it real? Is there a real issue here, or is it me and my ego and my impatience and my wanting to do my own thing speaking? So just being able to step out of any situation and say, is this right? Am I doing the right thing? Am I just being impatient and being difficult, or do I actually have a point here? And so that's the thing, sort of the stepping out and then taking the next step, which is the hardest bit of dialing it back. So, for example, if I'm having a tiff with my wife and, you step out of the situation and you realize, by the way, you're just being pig-headed about this issue. You really just need to, back down or grow up, and being able to say, okay, fine, at the risk of losing face completely, I want to dial this thing back and admit my wrong and say, yes, love, you're right. I'm wrong, and I'm not just saying this just the way sometimes we pack out those words just for the sake.
End this argument.
Yes,
we
wrong. Need to move on.
You're right. I'm wrong.
Yes, let's move on. But to be honest and say, look, I actually had the wrong perspective on this issue. I was looking at this the wrong way, and I need to change the way I see the situation. You're actually right. The way I was. The way I spend money, the way I fight, the way I hold grudges is wrong. I just need to grow up, stop holding those grudges for 3 weeks, let go of it. Stop being in love with the idea of being upset. You're not really upset. You just like the idea of being upset. So grow up.
You feel justified.
Yeah, it's indignation. How dare you say that to me? So you want to hang on to that feeling of indignation, but you're not really upset internally. Sorry. This is new to me, man. I'm not really upset. Or if I am upset, it's because I feel like I need to show you how upset I am and why my being upset is important. And so just stepping out of that and say, look, there's really no issue here. She's right. You're looking at this thing the wrong way. And it's painful to hear that, but she's right. And the truth is, she's not holding this thing over your head, by the way. Over my head, sorry, me. She's not holding it over my head. She's actually just telling me she's on my side. So I need to accept that and say, yes, as difficult as it is, I'm going to swallow this kiwaru that I'm feeling because it's not really a kiwaru. It's going to disappear once it goes down my throat.
And waru is actually nice things.
Yes, they are. Yeah. You had no. Okay, I'm about to get to a joke, but let me not. So there's a sense in which, stepping out of the situation and then taking the next step of changing the way you look at the situation and changing the way you behave in that situation. It's a way of. That's what I've learned.
So, now moving out of that and asking.
Thank you.
We've had a conversation.
Yep.
You probably haven't had with your friends.
Right now.
Yes.
Yes.
How does that make you feel about our friendship?
Well, for one, I'm never coming on this show again.
I'm so sorry. I didn't warn you enough.
I want a script. Next time, I want a script.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. I feel as though we've never had this conversation before. Ever. We've never gone in this direction.
Yes.
So I feel like you have taken it upon yourself to help me. It's like you've seen a situation or an issue, and you've decided to use the platform to draw out something in me through having this conversation. And that means that you have genuine concern. You had no idea I was going to tell you any of this stuff. Right? I'm pretty sure you didn't even know that we're going down this road, rabbit hole anyway.
Nope. But welcome to Living Truthfully. This is how it works here.
Man, I should have known, man. It's not in the fine print. No, but yeah, there's a sense in which you have used a platform to draw out something in me which I've never talked about before, and you've done that very deliberately, which is an act of friendship. It's a kind thing to do. The easier thing to do would have been, you had issues, let's move on to the script and talk about what we had planned to talk about. So that shows me that you have genuine concern, and that strengthens our friendship, I think.
And I feel like this is what we need to be as brothers, as friends, as male friends to each other.
Yeah.
Move from superficial conversations all the time, but be able to just have the presence of mind saying, when he said this, it may have been a cry for help.
Yeah.
Or even if not, since I have maybe a similar experience, or I've experienced a loss of some sort, maybe different but same emotion. Let's discuss that and let my experience hopefully help you get better perspective of yours.
Yeah.
And I want to ask, do you feel like you have any better perspective of yourself, at least after this conversation? How do you feel about yourself now?
I think what has happened is I don't know if it's a change of perspective. It's more like a putting to words of a situation. It's like a crystallizing of a situation where you
a clarity of sorts.
Yes, so that there's this thing you can kind of describe it, but it doesn't have that tangibility of a description or of a name. When you call something by its name, it gives it a sense of real. It makes it real. When you describe something and you have sort of a way of putting a label on it, it makes it real. So I think what this has done, I don't know if it has changed my perspective, because we're talking in retrospect anyway. We're talking about something that happened, right? Yeah. And we're not necessarily talking about solutions or how to fix it or anything like that.
And I don't even think I have solutions for you, but
but you'd be surprised, by the way. But anyway, just the fact that it's like, okay, I've never really put this to words. I've never really said any of this to anyone. Well, apart from my wife, or some of it. But just being able to put it in words is helpful, because you're like, okay, yeah, I can tell the story again. The way I go see someone in hospital and they've had an accident and they want to tell the story. There's a way the story sort of takes shape over time, and then eventually you get to a point where the story is consistent. So initially you're telling a bit of it here, a bit of it there, that kind of thing. So there's a sense in which this has helped me to have a story to tell. So the next time I have a conversation with anyone about this, there's a bit of clarity around it, and I can communicate it better.
2020 vision. Clarity. Yeah.
Communicate clearly.
Yeah. But also that's how you measure right vision. It's 2020
Vision 2020. Oh yeah, I missed that. So you guy, man.
It's okay.
Yeah. There's going to be a whole lot of eyesight jokes this year, by the way. So brace yourselves.
Yes. There's going to be a lot of that.
Brace yourselves.
You know what? First, I think I should apologize for not being there for you as I should have as a friend. And I don't even want to use the excuse I should have known, but because...
How would you have known, man?
Yeah, like I didn't reach out.
Yeah.
Even as a friend, I didn't reach out to say, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Hey, how's family? How's Biashara? And maybe give you the opportunity to be able to say something is not right.
To be fair, even if you had, I mean, there's no guarantee that I'd have even opened up. Because I've gotten those calls before, even from some of my close friends, like what's up, nini, but that whole image thing, I think that's one of the big barriers to having like genuine male, friendships and support from your fellow guys. Yeah, that image thing, that I feel that I will look bad in this guy's eyes. I don't want Amani to look at me and think, oh, Maze, Monge is going through this thing, man, it's bad and all. I don't want that way thing. I want to look strong. I want to feel like I'm in control. So even if you had reached out, I don't know if you would have gotten anywhere with it.
I feel like telling you that it doesn't. I don't know how to say this, but it's a lesson I've learned in the last year. So I understand everything you've said, but I've also seen another way of living, which is living vulnerably. And what has been amazing for me, and it's really just something that I'm still wrapping my head around, and it's mind-blowing in a sense, is how owning vulnerability and being able to say, you know what, I don't have this locked down, I don't have this figured out, I'm not where I should be on this one. Just being almost accepting for myself, but also being honest around it to the people that matter to me. What has happened is, one, like you said, it crystallizes, and I'm able to know, oh, so this is what I can do about it, because it's very clear, But also, secondly, I found that often what I was afraid of doesn't happen.
It's a boogeyman.
It's a boogeyman, exactly. That people will see me as weak. People will see me as, not having my, together.
Your stuff together.
Yeah. That stuff, that's not the effect that I have experienced.
Okay.
I have experienced people saying, thank you for sharing. You gave me a voice to share mine.
Yeah.
I've experienced people saying, thank you for sharing. That was brave of you. I've experienced grace people saying, and I kid you not, one of those debt collectors for a bank landed on my podcast for some reason. Okay. I kid you not.
Okay.
And called me.
Yeah.
And said, I listened to your podcast.
Yeah.
I had no clue you've gone through this process. Come, let's work out a plan.
For real?
Yeah. And like I said, they've been very gentle with me for a year now.
As a result of that.
As a result. And conversations that were unacceptable to them a year ago are how we have moved the debt forward. Being able to work on the debt.
Yeah.
Because now they understood.
Yeah. You're in the.
So I've experienced grace even from my friends who are like, oh, I understand why you are like this, or you are like this. Why that aggression, like you say, and it's not to excuse some of the things that you do, but it's to own it.
Yeah.
And I feel like owning it gives it, it makes us human.
Yeah.
We're not the supermen that we think we are.
True.
And to be honest, I've tried to lift my fist, and I don't fly. Like maybe it's I'm fat.
Maybe the cape. Were you wearing cape?
No.
Maybe that's the problem. Yeah, you need to get a cape.
I think it's helped me have a very healthy view of myself. Just both the good, the bad, and the ugly, and just know that they all exist.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean I'm the ugly only. Yeah. But that's been my experience.
Wow. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this particular experience I'm talking about has probably brought me closer to that sense of vulnerability than anything ever has in the past. Yeah, I've had a pretty good upbringing. Life has been I'm not, the guys who talk about how they've struggled in life and all. Honestly, that's not been my story. I thank God for that. So this was a very unique experience for me. And granted, like you say, there are people who go through a lot worse than that. But for me, it was a completely unique experience. And it just brought to me the reality home that, you know what, you're not this special guy up in the sky. There's these things happen to everyone, and they can happen to you too. It has brought a sense of humility as well. It has made me deal or face certain parts of my personality which I had taken for granted, certain parts of my identity which I had taken for granted. The way you see yourself in a certain way, and it becomes part of who you are, and then when that's taken away, then who are you after that? And just being able to confront the reality that your identity is not in a thing or a position or a place or an asset or whatever it is. So that's a conversation or a journey that I'd never needed to go through before, and having to go through this particular experience was helpful in doing that.
So, question.
Shoot.
How do you value what's the value of your male friendships?
Wow, good question. A lot of it is tied into my identity, that I'm a guy who has guy friends who I can count on. So just knowing that, or telling myself that, I'm saying telling myself because I haven't always needed that support, but just knowing that it's there is part of my identity. Having male friends also means that it gives a sense of balance to my life, that I don't see things from one perspective, that my life is not just about fatherhood or about being married or being professional, but there's a sense in which I'm a man, so I need to see things from a manly perspective, and having friends gives you that manly perspective, that male perspective, which sometimes you can lose in the sea of life. So that's been part of the dynamic in terms of having male friends.
Who are the 6 guys that are going to carry your casket?
I don't have 6. I probably have like 3 or 4. So it's going to be like a very lopsided casket. We might have to get like a trolley or something to push. No, but seriously though, that's
and
a
a
question.
place with no stairs.
Yes, that's true. That's very true.
Okay.
Yeah, or you could just cremate. So you just need one guy to carry the.
Okay. Yeah, it's
yeah.
a good way to go around it.
Yeah, but and the question has been asked before. I know I have friends. At a very deep level, or rather at a very superficial level, I know there are guys who will come around. I have like dozens of male friends. There are people who I know, if anything happened, they'd at a very superficial level be available. But I know the casket bearers, the casket carriers, the guys who are in the sticks with me, they're not many. Part of it has been my personality, just my nature of just wanting to do things on my own and just not letting guys in. That's part of the dynamic. And then just, what does it mean when you say someone's going to carry your casket when you die? What does that look like when you're alive? What if you're not in a place of vulnerability, or if you don't need that help, or if you've never needed to reach out and have someone help you, how will you know who those people are? So it's just been one of those things that I've thought about it. And I know there's a couple of guys I'd probably call on at a very deep level, but how do we know what that's going to be like when the time comes? I don't know.
I hear that you grew up in 2 types of families: the family that you were born in, and the family that you choose. And as I close this conversation, I think the conversation I want to have with the guys is about the family that you choose.
Yeah.
The family of men that help you walk the journey of manhood, the journey of masculinity, the journey of fatherhood, the journey of just being a guy.
Yeah.
And that are true, real, deep, bonded on life only, not necessarily help, type friendships.
Yeah.
And maybe what you've taught me today is to look at my friendships and say, are they based on how these people can help me? Or are they based on how I just genuinely like to be with these people, and allowing them into my life?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess that...
Can I say something about that?
Yeah.
So, I think there's the levels. I think there's it's not all on the same level.
Yeah,
we can't put all guys in the at the same depth.
I agree.
I think there are guys, and there's a place for that. There are guys who are there for a particular season. There are guys who you need to go to help for help and stuff like that. I think there's a sense in which, as guys, we need to see our friends, because you see, if you're talking about vulnerability comes from a place of need, and so maybe need can be seen as an ugly thing, that I'm this needy guy who's struggling, who needs help, or I only talk to my friends when things are thick, and therefore I abuse their friendship. But the truth is, for all of us, that interaction, the human interaction, is really based on that. So the question is, who is that person you want to share that experience with, and how deep can you go with this person, to the extent that your vulnerability, you're willing to expose your vulnerabilities with that person.
I like the conversation you're having, because basically you're saying Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like we have all these different needs, and we accept them. They're part of how we were created, how we are. And I want to encourage guys, form those communities for yourself, but more importantly, build friendships, and build friendships that you feel they can allow you to speak and to be honest and to be yourself, that you do not need to hit possibly your highest threshold of pain
before you can talk.
Yeah. And thank you for being my friend.
Thanks, man.
For being my friend enough even to come when I asked. On short notice, and you came.
Oh, that's fine, man. Thanks.
I appreciate it. Yeah. And I hope going forward we can be better friends.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on the show. Thanks for this conversation. It was uncomfortable, I won't lie to you. But thanks for providing a space where it could be had, because it's necessary. I think there's a bit of crystallization in terms of how I define friendship that has happened this afternoon, and I'm going to go and do something about it. So thanks, man.
Okay. But before we go, you're the king of bad jokes. Hit me.
Did you hear about the guys who tried to fly but they failed?
No.
They were the wrong brothers.
It's so painful to think about it. Wow.
Just process it. It takes some time. It's gonna hit.
No, and I know the right brothers and the wrong brothers. It's just so painful to think about it. Have you ever heard about the Indian who went to the restaurant and you're just chilling like this, and just, are you relaxing? He says, no, I'm not relaxing. I'm dalipsing. Then he's asked, sorry, sir, what I meant is, are you comfortable? No, I did not comfortable. I came 40.
Okay, at the risk of pushing this too far, what do you call an Indian, an Asian who cleans windows?
I know him.
Dirisha.
Yeah. So, what do you call one who owns a Mathri?
I don't know.
Shukisha.
And his brother is called who?
I don't know.
Pandisha.
See you next week when we discuss male friendships a little bit more. I'm actually toying with the idea of bringing some of my boys here that that Kaina circle, but those guys will chomoa my secrets, and this is the reason I don't want them here.
Living truthfully,
I know I talk about vulnerability, but no.
There's a limit.
There is a limit, and don't trust those guys one single bit.
Let me tell you, you don't have to. Yes, when you're ready.
Yeah, I don't trust them, but we'll see next week. God bless. Yeah. Thank you for listening.